Yeah, so it's a welcome to everyone who's just joined us. I suppose especially a thank you to those that have joined us on what is a sunny day. And as we're probably mostly in the UK, we know we don't get a lot of them, so we are extremely grateful that you have perhaps paused your lunchtime walk in the sunshine to join us today. So welcome on behalf of the MGAA and Peach, who are delivering this market briefing. So yes, I'm Alison Cairns and welcoming you here. I'm just going to do a quick bit of housekeeping before I hand over to our presenters. So a kind request, please. Can we keep microphones and cameras off? It just helps us minimise any problems we might have or risks we might have with technology, and it makes the editing of the recording a little bit easier as well for me. So on that point, just to let everyone know that the recording is the recording. The presentation even is being recorded, and it will be available. I try to make it available by the early next week. So if you want to review any of the content or want to pass on the link to any colleagues to have a look at, you will get an email come out early next week with a link, and also a link to the recording and to the slides. So that'll be out with you. Also to let you know that our market briefings are accredited by the CII for CPD, which means that you are able to record that if the content aligns with your development plans. So other than another polite request, please not to initiate any AI note-taking tools, because we need to seek permission for that and we don't have that permission. So that's my requests over. And I will hand over to Ryan, Russell and Nick from Peach, who are going to deliver our market briefing on a refreshing approach to MGA partnerships. And I will let them introduce themselves. So yes, over to you.
Brilliant. Thank you, Alison, and welcome everybody to our presentation. So we'll start with just a quick introduction. So there's three of us presenting today, and you get the pleasure of our mugshots here on the slide, so you can do a compare and contrast to the reality, see how good our photographer was. So I'm Russell White. I'm CEO of Peach, and we'll talk about the structure of the company in a minute. I have been in the insurance industry longer than I care to admit to, but all that while in a blend of commercial and some personal lines as well, with a real focus on delegated and e-traded arrangements. And it's brilliant to be with you today.
Cool. Thanks, Russell. So I'm Ryan Bendelow. I'm Director of Commercial at Peach. I've not done quite as many years in the industry as Russell, but just hit 18, predominantly across roles in distribution, working with broker and MGA partners. Spent quite a lot of time at RSA, 13 years, and more recently have spent a bit of time in the insurtech space for companies such as Zego, Temp Cover and Flock before coming to Peach almost 2 years ago.
Thanks, Ryan. So that's me then. So I'm Nick Dinsdale. I'm Director of Underwriting here at Peach. I'm neck and neck with Russell, I think, for years in the UK commercial insurance market, previously with RSA, QBE, and most latterly I was Director of Commercial Underwriting at Covéa Insurance. So I have a technical underwriting bent, but also a particular passion for delegated underwriting and the MGA space.
Brilliant. Thank you, guys. So today's session, we hope you'll find it a pleasant experience and a mildly educational one. So just to outline what the learning objectives are, firstly, to describe the benefit of working with Peach for both MGAs and also, really importantly, end customers alike. To be able to summarise Peach's underwriting appetite and our approach to assessing new partnership opportunities. To outline how our flexibility with capacity management could actually help safeguard the future of an MGA. And finally, to be able to outline how the Peach brand seeks to differentiate ourselves from more traditional insurer brands. So that's what we'll be looking to achieve. And on the next slide, we'll just start with a tiny bit about our background and what we do before we get into the meat of the really great stuff that we do. So as we said here, Peach is a fresh new brand. We actually hit the commercial market, first of all, in 2020, just in time for the pandemic, so really well timed. But Peach itself is actually a brand and a trading style of NPA Insurance. And the NPA stands for the National Pharmacy Association. So that's the in-house insurer of the National Pharmacy Association, which itself was founded in 1899. So you've got this nice kind of contrarian position of a really old, long-established UK insurer, but with as well a fresh new brand. And on the next slide, we talk a little bit about the purpose and a bit more about that shareholder relationship. So the National Pharmacy Association are our one and only shareholder, which is great because it means that all the capital, all the money that we hold is ours. There's no external investment in us. So we're entirely within our own authority to make decisions on how fast we want to grow, how much capital capacity we want to deploy. We're an insurer, not an MGA. Many people in the market make that confusion, but Peach is just a trading style of the NPAI, which is an insurer whose profits, ultimately, everything that we do, as well as insuring and indemnifying pharmacists, actually all the profit that we generate organisationally ultimately goes back to support and benefit community pharmacy in the UK. So really a great purpose, because what we're doing ultimately will help the NHS deliver vital services in the UK. I talked about the fact that we're long established, over 125 years old, and in that time we've always had a fantastically well capitalised position. We're currently BBB rated via Standard & Poor's, with capital adequacy in excess of their global ratings 99.99% confidence level, and really importantly as well, exceptional liquidity. We've been here for a long time. We intend to be here for a very long time to come, and we've got the capital and the balance sheet to back that claim up. And I think at this point, I shall hand over to Ryan to talk a bit more about what it's actually like working with us.
Yeah, so I suppose kind of most people are on the call to understand kind of, you know, what Peach are about and kind of how it looks to work with us. So you've had a great background there around the business and how we kind of have a greater purpose and link in with the National Pharmacy Association. But Peach itself is effectively focused on partnering with, you know, either MGAs or brokers in the broker scheme space and providing delegated solutions and capacity. So a little bit more around kind of what that looks like to work with us. Peach is only delegated. So from that perspective, you know, there is no channel conflict. We don't have, you know, open market products which have friction with any kind of partnerships that we have with MGAs or brokers. We're not just a P&L kind of bolted onto, you know, a much bigger insurer. And that's got many benefits, including the fact that, you know, we bear our own expense level. All of our kind of deals are aligned to the true expense of running an MGA and the benefits that you get from delegating business out. It also gives us a really clear focus around what we want to do. And that's particularly handy in terms of things like the regulatory requirements of managing a DNA and you know, the kind of, you know, support that we can give to MGAs and partnerships in that respect. So we are only delegated, and our focus is purely on delegated partners. You get fast decisions with us. So you know, because we are only delegated, we have a really clear, streamlined process around taking opportunities through a pipeline, but also kind of, you know, streamlining how we work in the long run with a partner. And also it's a really small management team. So, you know, you've got 50% of our management team on the call. And that means because we've got such a small management team, and we meet on a regular basis, that decisions that we make are often done in a quick manner. We are really flexible. So, you know, ultimately, we We try to be driven by the partners that we work with. We don't have a kind of, or we don't demand that you're aligned to kind of our out-of-the-box requirements. We are led by our partners as specialists in the space that they work in, and because of that, we're really open to be flexible about our approach to the products that we back. And we're told by our existing partner base that that's often quite refreshing and something that I get very often. We're service focused, so as being a small insurer, we are kind of attentive to every relationship we have. All of our relationships are important to us, so we make sure that we deliver the service that we promise and the right solution. So as I say, we work with our partners to kind of land that right solution and deliver against that. We try to, we turn around our referral business really quickly, and we have our portfolio review meetings with our partners to ensure that everything's going as it should, and have those conversations about managing the MGA or the scheme in the right way moving forward. We have a small team of dedicated underwriters. So, it's not a faceless team. You'll have all of the contacts. You'll know those individuals. You'll be able to pick up the phone to those individuals. And Nick will tell you more, I'm sure, about that underwriting team as we move through. And we also have our in-house claims team. Now, that includes a couple of in-house claims managers, but also a team of qualified solicitors. We manage on the pharmacy side, indemnity side. We have a lot of extremely complex indemnity claims that we manage using our in-house team of solicitors. And they get involved with other liability claims that would come through on the Peach side as well. And they actually won a National Insurance Award a couple of years ago for Claims Team of the Year. So you're really proud of those. That being aligning to kind of the element of flexibility, we are obviously more than open to working with TPAs, and we know, from an MGA perspective, a lot of MGAs will have TPA relationships in place, and we're happy to kind of support those and work with those if that would be a preference. So moving on. So what are the key benefits? That's what you'll get with working with Peach. What do we think the key benefits to you as an MGA would be to partnering with us? We believe we're experts. So you'd have seen kind of at the introduction that we've got a few years between us, myself, Nick, and Russell, and that's kind of that spans out across the business. We've a lot of us within the business have worked within sort of the corporate insurance world, and gained a lot of kind of knowledge along the way. We try to be specialists as part of that being expert. So we obviously are specialists on the pharmacy side, but the partners that we want to work with often work with niche markets or really understand their markets. And we try to have that sort of commercial acumen. We try to be flexible. We try to get the right deal for us and our partners. We like to think that we're also kind of excellent. So again, kind of working with partners to create high-performing books and giving those service levels, always providing the quality that you would expect, but also really being accountable. So picking up the phone, really kind of understanding kind of what your needs are and delivering kind of that from an accountability perspective. And the last kind of benefit is kind of we're really, really focused. As I've already mentioned, we are DA only. We know the market. We know how to kind of work in an agile way there. I think what's really important, and the feedback we get from our partners, is they love the fact that there's very little channel conflict. So we aren't we don't have the open market products. Often you will have that exclusivity with us because the number of MGAs and schemes we back is a relatively small amount. So you've got that kind of you've got that benefit of kind of knowing that there's that element of exclusivity. And we try to be straightforward. We try to simplify things as much as possible. We know what those hurdles can be for brokers and for MGAs in terms of getting things done. And we really try and make it as simple and as straightforward a process as possible for the partners that we work with. And we're really guided by the partners. So as I've kind of already kind of referred to, the fact is we know that the MGAs and brokers know their niche. Your customer set, and we value the fact that you do. And Nick will talk about kind of our underwriting ethos in a minute in that regard. But we really value your track record. So that's either your track record in terms of running your particular MGA and being able to provide data and detail around that, and also your track record in regard to your experience. How long have you been doing this for? You understand the market, understand how to distribute the products. So we value that, and the idea is that we back that because we value you. We love data. Who doesn't? And the more we can get presented to really tell the story of your MGA, the better. I'm sure I'm not alone in kind of selling that message, but ultimately, we like to understand performance and we like to see that data. And ultimately, we want to deliver a solution that suits you. So it's back to that flexibility. We're not saying, it needs to fit within this box, or this is exactly how we want you to do things. We're led by you, and we want to land a solution that suits you. And quite basically, we want to try and make your life simple. We know sometimes it can be hard to deal with carriers. And ultimately, what we're about is trying to make that process as smooth and simple as possible so that you can get on with what you do best. And the last thing is, I think kind of as part of the spiel that we put in trying to get people onto the call, I think we said that Peach may be the best capacity provider that you've never heard of, but actually we may be better known than you think. So we have had quite a lot of coverage in the press, and you'll see our mugshots there on some of the articles that we've been in across the Insurance Post and the Insurance Times, and you'll also, the eagle-eyed of you will see that we used to be called Peach Pie, but we actually rebranded to Peach because not unexpectedly a lot of potential partners thought we only did PI. So we went for a rebrand around kind of autumn last year, and that got a decent amount of coverage across the insurance press as well. So we're quite proud around the exposure that we've got, but obviously we'd like to continue to kind of grow that understanding of us as a business and us as an insurer. So we continue to push on that. And on the right-hand side, you'll see a lovely picture of us picking up an award earlier this year. So via a kind of NPA Insurance, we actually won the Specialist Cover Award. So that was at the National Insurance Awards. And last year, we were also a finalist at the Insurance Post British Insurance Awards. So yeah, you may never have heard of us, but we have achieved quite a bit, and we are picking up that coverage for it. On that note, I'll hand over to Nick to talk about our underwriting appetite.
Yeah, thanks, Ryan. So this is getting down to a few more of the nuts and bolts about our appetite and what we can do. So I think the first thing to stress is we're a UK only insurer. That's all of the UK. We can do Northern Ireland, but frankly, we'd rather avoid it or just treat it as accommodation. But we're UK only. But unlike some carriers, we are product agnostic, so we don't try and force things into commercial combined buckets or tradesman buckets, what have you. Our appetite is built around class of business, so around property, around liability, around professional indemnity. But building on the theme Ryan has talked about in terms of flexibility, our underwriting mantra is really the phrase in the middle of that slide: underwrite the underwriter. Most important to our decision to partner with an MGA is the underwriter that we're facing off to. We look for an MGA who has the expertise in their niche or their sector or their product. They have the knowledge and the capability. They know what they're all about. Armed with that, we will fit our appetite around the expertise of that underwriter. That said, we have some fairly significant capacity to deploy, so we can deploy 10 million limits on property and liability. We can deploy 5 million on professional indemnity, and we're able to write on a 100% basis or on a follow line basis to suit the requirements of the MGA or the broker. Having said that we're open-minded on appetite, There are a few things that we're unlikely to do. So we're not a home for those traditional high hazard areas of waste and recycling, scaffolders and roofers, thatch, and we're not a natural home for the kind of IFAs or the architects, PI, those sort of covers. So, but other than that, we're flexible, and the mantra is around understanding and underwriting the underwriter.
Thank you, Nick. And I think that leads us into very nicely to look at a couple of case studies. So hopefully this all sounds fantastic. Here's in Blue Peter style, a couple that we prepared earlier. So this first one I'll talk about, and this one is a excess of loss PI MGA, who are themselves MGAA members. So you may be able to guess from this presentation who we're talking about here. But these were people that we met initially, actually, at a capacity exchange event way back in 2021. And what impressed us immediately when we met them was their breadth of experience, their wealth of experience in professional indemnity in particular. Was that the PI market at that time was incredibly hard. Capacity had withdrawn from a lot of classes and rates were extremely high. So actually a brilliant opportunity if they could get an underwriter interested to enter into and service a market that was at the time chronically underserviced, but was underserviced because PI had gone through previously, unsurprisingly, a very soft cycle which had driven poor underwriting returns. So we took a leap of faith. We worked with them. We were impressed by the story, and we put in place a new MGA that really, as we hoped it would, outperformed even our expectations in what was a hard market, and grew very, very rapidly to a really well-priced and I'm pleased to say very profitable book of business to us. So I think we demonstrated partnership at the outset with this relationship, but we've also demonstrated partnership together with the MGA as the market has evolved, because kind of like gravity, that's very, very hard with limited capacity and rates that are really high. As those returns then flow through, more and more people get interested in either entering or re-entering or deploying more capacity into a marketplace. And those of you in professional indemnity will certainly know that that's what's happened with that class of business, really with significant rate softening that probably started in earnest in 2023. But what we've done working in partnership with the MGA is really manage ourselves through that cycle. We've worked with them to retain the really good quality business, to adapt and flex our underwriting rules, but ultimately to ensure that we also together retain the right rate discipline that's going to make this a long-term profitable partnership that can exist right through that market cycle. And in response to that, we've also helped them, and we're working with them right now actually, to launch new products into that space and help them continue their incredible growth journey. Without putting words into their mouths, we've spoken with them before, obviously many times, about and the words that they use are to the effect that without us, they simply wouldn't have a business today. So that's one case study of something that we've done now for 4 or 5 years. But I think, Nick, you can talk to us next about one that's brand new and just about to go out the blocks.
Yeah, thanks, Russell. Absolutely. So this is a newer case study, which I think showcases what we've spoken about around our flexibility and our open-mindedness around our appetite and deployment of our capacity. So this one is it's a long-standing personal lines MGA who approached us, having made significant investment in their business around their data and their tech capabilities, they approached us for solutions for additional capacity to help them grow and capitalize on their investment in their business. So crucially, they approached us with excellent data that supported their success and their performance. They presented us with a credible proposition and a credible business plan as to what the growth they were looking for looked like, why they thought that it was achievable, and how they wanted to achieve it. And back to the underwriter mantra, they presented us with a very credible underwriting team who were clearly knowledgeable, expert and credible in the sector and the segment that they were playing in. So we could see that they'd invested in the technology and their data and pricing capabilities, and that aligned with our expectations of this particular sector, where data and pricing agility is crucial to the success of that line of business. So, having presented us with the opportunity, look, we weren't. I'll be quite open here. We weren't looking for a personal lines opportunity at that time, but it ticked so many other boxes in terms of what we saw from their proposition that we engaged with them very quickly, and we had a very open dialogue with them, and very quickly realised that actually we had a meeting of minds here about how they operated and what we looked for in a new MGA relationship. So we explored with them how we could support their growth. We explored with them whether actually we could deploy our capacity as a follow line to help them grow, or on a standalone basis supporting a particular product line. But we engaged with them really quickly and very quickly narrowed down the areas that we mutually thought we could work well together doing. That being done, we were able to deploy our underwriting team and really quickly turn round, reviewing their product specifications and their wordings. We could add value. There were certain areas where both areas they were very clearly expert in, but there was an area that actually we had a bit more experience and knowledge in than actually they had. So we very quickly shared that knowledge with them and allowed them to shape the product based on the underwriting expertise we could bring to that product line. All that led to a really rapid conclusion of the deal. We worked out how we could support them, what that looked like, what the shape of that support looked like, which led to the conclusion of the deal for us to provide our capacity to the MGA. And it represents a significant win-win for both of us. It allows this MGA to meet their growth aspirations through additional capacity, and for us, it gives us a new relationship in a new sector for us, and diversifies our book with the sort of business that we always set out to be supporting.
Brilliant. Thanks, Nick. And I think you were just going to link back to kind of the learning objectives in terms of kind of everything we've spoken through.
Yeah. So look, I hope the case studies that Russell and I have outlined, I hope that perhaps demonstrates from an MGA perspective the benefits of working with Peach for both the MGA and their customers around our flexibility, around rapid decision making, and around our expertise. I hope that by articulating the nuts and bolts of our underwriting appetite, I've given you the building blocks to think whether there is an opportunity to work with us. But most importantly, I wanted to get across our approach to assessing a new MGA partnership and around our product agnosticism, if that's even a word, around how we do it. Flexibility is probably the word that's better to be used. It's around how flexible we are in managing capacity. And Ryan has already talked about, Ryan and Russell have talked about how we're in it for the long term with our MGA partners. Russell's example of a business that wouldn't be there without us, and we're with them and we're growing with them because we want to support their long-term future for our long-term future. And finally, the differentiation, I hope, comes through in terms of our sole focus on delegated authority, our absence of channel conflict and open market products, and the refreshing and new approach, the new brand that we bring to providing capacity in delegated authority arenas.
Brilliant. Thanks, Nick. And I think one thing I wanted to kind of end on, and to kind of Nick's final point there, we as a brand, we try to steer away from being kind of or looking like a traditional insurer, and that's absolutely by design. We want to try and position ourselves as something a bit fresher, even though we have the heritage of NPA Insurance. For all the reasons that we've set out in this presentation, we want to be seen as someone that's easy to work with, that's flexible, that will really kind of take on board the professionalism and the specialisms of our partners, and that's hopefully reflected in kind of how we present ourselves as a brand. And on that note, it would be remiss of me not to mention we are at BIBA in a couple of weeks' time. We did try to see if we could get an inflatable giant peach to float above our stand, but the budget wouldn't quite stretch to that. So we have got a nice light up peach on our stand. We're at stand C74. We're obviously open to talking to anyone in advance of BIBA, but given kind of the industry tends to descend upon Manchester at that time of year, we're really open to speaking to anybody there. And in addition to that, we will be at the MGA drinks after BIBA on Wednesday, and at the MGA conference in July as well. So more than happy, any of the three of us and any of the Peach team would be more than happy to speak to anyone about Peach at further length. And I think on that note, we have the Q&A.
Yep. Thank you very much. That was very insightful, and we have had a question drop, which I will read out to you. So, thanking you for the overview. You stated you are product agnostic, but more property/financial lines led. 2 questions. What is the maximum line size? You would write either as lead or follow, and sorry, it's a long one. And what's your stance on supporting motor, commercial or personal?
Okay, shall I take that one, Ryan and Russell?
Go for it.
Yeah, so maximum line size, property and liability is 10 million, professional indemnity is 5 million, and what you will find from Peach is a quick no and a more considered yes. So on the motor side, it's a very quick no. That's not where we're at.
Thank you. Hopefully that answers your question. Oh, another one. Please give a sense of the current volume of premium underwritten by Peach today. I suppose excluding NPA.
Yeah, so Peach, I'll take that one, Nick. Peach has grown from a standing start of 0 in 2020, and the new NGA that we backed from its inception actually grew to a decent scale, which together we've slightly managed down as the market has softened. But to give you a context of where we are as we go live with the additional MGA that we've just written, we will be around about between 15 to 17 million GWP. So, we're not huge. We pick our partners really carefully, but we are also ambitious. We've got the headroom, we've got the capital to certainly grow that book significantly further, and I wouldn't be at all surprised to see us double that over the coming years.
Thank you. I hope that addresses the question. We have another one. Will you write any one claim for D&C PI?
So I think if we want to, one of the things I would say on D&C is that actually is within the scope of our existing excess of loss MGA. So we talked earlier on about the kind of channel conflict and the fact that you don't generally get that with us. Inevitably, if it's a partner that we're already backing and that we have got a really healthy relationship with, much as you wouldn't want us to write a new relationship with you and then go and create something similar with somebody else, we would similarly protect and maintain as much as we possibly can exclusivity. So I'm afraid D&C wouldn't be one that we'd look to get into.
Thank you. And another question we have, do you have any interest in providing capacity to new MGA startups, or do you require a proven track record for a certain amount of years?
I can pick that one up if you like. So I think we're absolutely open to having those conversations. I think, I sometimes, I kind of think back at my time at bigger insurers, and often kind of bigger insurers are a little bit arrogant around kind of, new opportunities in terms of MGAs and schemes. If nobody was given an opportunity as a startup, we would have no MGAs and schemes. So I think ultimately the answer is yes. But I think, from a due diligence perspective, we'd really want to see, a business plan that really shows kind of what the potential is, understanding the market, understanding the customer, showing what your experience is. So I think we would look at it, but ultimately kind of it would be down to that potential partner to evidence kind of why we should back something from startup.
Thank you. I had a couple of questions which were submitted earlier. So for everyone listening in, that does give you a little bit more time to tap out some questions in the chat if there's anything on your mind. So one of the questions that we had put to us was understanding within the Peach team, are you entirely dedicated to delegated business? And can you tell us a little bit more about the team as a whole?
Yeah, shall I take that one, Ryan?
Yeah.
Yeah, so the answer is yes. We have the Peach business is delegated only. My underwriting team is delegated only. The team is proportionate to our scale, so you wouldn't expect an army of people supporting the size of book that we currently have. But we have, crikey, my senior underwriter has 12 to 15 years experience in writing this sort of business, and we have a development underwriter who's more around the 3 to 5 years experience of writing delegated business. So I hope that answers the question. Yes, delegated only, and the underwriting team is delegated only.
Yeah, and just to add to that, Nick, we also have the benefit, particularly on the professional lines PI side of the business, of David Jones, who may be known to some of you. David is a 40-plus year veteran of the London market, is currently fortunate enough to do most of his underwriting from his home in Mallorca, but isn't virtual working. Wonderful, because David does a fantastic job for us, particularly in PI, and is a wonderful resource to have access to as well, to supplement the rest of the team that Nick also has.
Thank you. And we've got another question in the chat. Question is even, would you be open to backing a solicitor PI program if an underwriting edge existed?
So unfortunately, this is going to sound a little bit similar to the earlier answer I gave in that excess of loss solicitors PI is also within the scope of the existing binder that we write. It's not something that we'd want to do on a primary basis, unfortunately. So yeah, isn't that wonderful? Murphy's Law being what it is, the two direct questions that we've had around class specifics are ones that we do maintain our exclusivity on, so apologies.
Thank you. And got one more question that was submitted earlier. This question is asking for a little bit more information regarding your rating and financial stability.
Yeah, so I think that's delicately worded. I think what someone's really asking there is triple B good enough? Is it a barrier to you? And I think really I'd answer that question by saying we've had great growth and great success with the triple B rating. Actually, the financial strength, and it comes through really clearly in S&P's reporting, that we are incredibly well capitalised with brilliant liquidity. If you've got both of those things going on in your balance sheet, you're in a really good place. They've changed the way that they describe capitalisation actually for smaller firms. They used to talk about it until sort of end of 2023, I think, comparing it to other standards, and what they've said historically about our level of capital is that we're actually capitalised to the equivalent of their AAA standard. But it's scale that makes it virtually impossible to get an A rating with S&P unless you're larger. So it hasn't been a barrier. We have been through security committees of numerous large broking houses in the UK, again through some of the NGAs that we work with already. We are accessed via them by the likes of Marsh and Aon. So some very big brokers indeed. And in the schemes part of the Peach business, we work with a whole load and a whole range of different shapes and sizes of broker who will have been through similar processes. We're also in the process, all of that said, of doing some exploratory work around potentially looking at additional rating houses, rating agencies, in the expectation that actually we may be able to achieve an A rating potentially as early as this year. If that happens, wonderful. But if it doesn't, we've done a brilliant job. And a lot of the reason that people do trade with us, that we do pass security committees, is the strength of the heritage and the strength of the balance sheet that we're able to demonstrate.
Right, thank you very much. I think we have we've exhausted all the questions. So yes, they're all questioned out. So yes, leaves me to thank you, Ryan, Russell and Nick, for your presentation today. And did you want to remind everyone what stand you're on at BIBA, just in case they can't see the massive peach?
I'll do some plugins. Stand C74 at BIBA. You can also, we put a lot of stuff out on LinkedIn as well. So you can follow the Peach page on LinkedIn or contact any of us. All our details are on the MGAA website as well. So happy to speak to anybody.
Thank you. And what I will do is get a link to the recording and a copy of your slides, which I believe has got your contact details on it as well. So that will come out to everyone fairly soon. So yes, thank you again. It's very, very interesting and informative. And thank you to everyone who attended and yes, decided to keep out of the sun for 45 minutes. So thank you very much for joining us.